Welcome to English Listenberry. I'm Emma. Before we begin, we are going to measure your speaking reflex. At the end of this lesson, you will take a 13-point no-pause test. 12 points are for 12 immediate responses. The final point is for one connected response. A point only counts when your voice actually begins, before the 3 seconds are over. Here is your first test. A friend says, "I heard you gave an important presentation yesterday. How did it go?" Answer out loud now. 1, 2, 3. Did your voice begin before the countdown ended? Do not judge the answer. Just remember how quickly your voice started. We will return to this kind of pressure in the final test, and you will be able to compare your response directly. If you waited, today's lesson is exactly what you need. We are going to train a skill that separates passive knowledge from active fluency, the ability to respond before your entire sentence is ready. The goal is not to speak carelessly. The goal is to stop requiring perfection before permission. You already know a great deal of English. Today, we are going to make that English available under pressure. By the end of this session, you will have passed through 5 levels. Each level removes some support and adds more pressure. You will begin with short launch phrases, then build complete responses, recover from missing words, handle difficult conversations, and finish with a no-pause speaking test. That process has 4 steps. Hear, choose, launch, expand. Hear the speaker's intention. Choose one simple direction. Launch with a familiar phrase. Expand with a reason, detail, or example. Notice what is missing from that process. There is no instruction to translate every word. There is no instruction to inspect every grammar rule. There is no instruction to wait until the complete answer appears. You begin with what you have, and you build while moving. Level 1. Launch before you feel ready. Your goal in this level is simple. Begin. You do not need a perfect answer. You need a clear first direction. Let's return to the first question. How did your presentation go? This time, do not search for a complete answer. Choose one of these openings. It went better than I expected. Honestly, it was a little stressful. Overall, I was happy with it. The short answer is, it went well. Choose one and say it now. Good. You have already started speaking. Now add one reason. It went better than I expected because the audience was very engaged. Honestly, it was a little stressful because we had a technical problem at the beginning. Overall, I was happy with it because I explained the main idea clearly. The short answer is, it went well, although I would change a few things next time. That is how a fluent response grows. It does not always arrive as one perfect sentence. It often begins as a clear direction and develops one piece at a time. Many advanced learners believe they have a vocabulary problem. Sometimes they do, but very often they have a starting problem. They know enough language to communicate, but they cannot select the first 5 words quickly enough. While they search, the pressure increases. The more pressure they feel, the more complex the answer becomes in their mind. Eventually, silence feels safer than speaking. We are going to break that pattern. Your first words do not need to carry the entire idea. Their job is simply to open the door. Repeat these launch phrases after me. Honestly, I think, the first thing that comes to mind is, from my perspective, if I had to choose, what stands out to me is, the way I see it, my initial reaction is, the short answer is, I would probably say, it depends, but generally. These phrases buy you a small amount of thinking time, but they do more than that. They give your answer a direction. Once you say, from my perspective, your brain begins searching for an opinion. Once you say, the main reason is, your brain begins searching for a reason. The phrase becomes a track, and your idea begins moving along it. Let's test that. Question 1. Is working from home better than working in an office? Begin with, it depends, but generally. 1, 2, 3. It depends, but generally, I prefer working from home because I can concentrate more easily. Your answer may have been different. That is completely fine. The goal was not agreement. The goal was movement. Question 2. What is one skill everyone should learn? Begin with, if I had to choose. 1, 2, 3. If I had to choose, I'd say communication, because it affects almost every part of life. Question 3. What makes someone a good leader? Begin with, what stands out to me is. 1, 2, 3. What stands out to me is the ability to listen before making a decision. Question 4. Should people change careers when they feel unhappy? Begin with, the short answer is 1, 2, 3. The short answer is yes, but they should prepare carefully before making the change. Did you notice how the opening phrase reduced the number of decisions you had to make? Instead of inventing an entire response, you completed a path that was already available. Now we will build a simple response engine. You can use it in daily conversations, interviews, meetings, discussions, and speaking exams. The engine has 3 parts: answer, reason, detail. For example, someone asks, "Do you enjoy living in your city?" Answer, "Yes, I do." Reason, "It's convenient and easy to get around." Detail, "Most of the places I need are within 20 minutes of my home." Now listen to the complete response. Yes, I do. It's convenient and easy to get around. Most of the places I need are within 20 minutes of my home. The response sounds natural because each sentence has one job. You did not force everything into one complicated structure. Let's practice. Do you prefer learning alone or with other people? First, answer directly. 1, 2, 3. Now give one reason. Now add one specific detail or example. Here is one possible response. I usually prefer learning alone. I can move at my own pace and focus on the areas I find difficult. For example, when I study pronunciation, I like repeating the same sentence several times without worrying about anyone else. Your turn with a new question. What is one change that would improve your daily routine? Answer, reason, detail, speak now. Good. Keep the 3 parts separate in your mind. You are not writing an essay. You are placing one useful block after another. Here is another question. Would you rather have more time or more money? Answer, reason, detail. Begin within 3 seconds. One possible response is this. I would rather have more time. Money can solve many practical problems, but time gives you the freedom to choose how you live. If I had an extra free day every week, I would use it to learn, exercise, and spend time with people I care about. Now let's remove the support. I will ask 3 questions. For each question, give an answer, a reason, and a detail. You must begin within 3 seconds. What is the best way to recover after a difficult day? 1, 2, 3. Would you move to another country for a good opportunity? 1, 2, 3. Is it better to plan carefully or act quickly? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. If some answers were short, that is not a problem. Speed and control develop before complexity. A clear sentence delivered on time is more valuable than an impressive sentence delivered after the conversation has moved on. Before we move on, check what just happened. Did you start all 3 answers, or did one question pull you back into silent translation? That question is not a failure. It is the exact place where your new reflex needs more repetition. Now picture a learner named Daniel walking into an international job interview. He has advanced English. He has prepared strong answers. He knows the company, the role, and the vocabulary. The interviewer asks an unexpected question. Tell me about a decision you would change if you could. Daniel has an idea, but he tries to build the perfect answer in his first language. Then he searches for the exact English version. 5 seconds pass. Then 8. The interviewer waits. Daniel knows what he wants to say, but the conversation has already become uncomfortable. Now imagine the same moment with one trained launch phrase. The first thing that comes to mind is a decision I made early in my career. That sentence is not brilliant. It does not need to be. It gives Daniel a direction. While he says it, the next idea arrives. Then the reason. Then the example. His English did not suddenly improve in 8 seconds. His access to English improved because he stopped demanding the complete answer before the first word. That is the shift we are building today. Quick reset. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. The next level is more conversational. Level 2. Respond to the person, not only the words. Conversation is not only about answering questions. It is also about showing that you understand, care, agree, disagree, or need clarification. Strong reactions keep the rhythm of a conversation alive. Repeat after me. That makes sense. I can see why you feel that way. That must have been frustrating. I hadn't thought of it like that. That's a fair point. I completely agree. I'm not entirely convinced. I see your point, but that depends on what you mean by, could you explain that a little more? These responses are useful because they connect listening and speaking. You are not producing a separate speech. You are responding to what the other person has just done. Imagine that a coworker says, "We had to change the entire plan at the last minute." React naturally. 1, 2, 3. That must have been frustrating. Now add a follow-up question. How did the team handle it? Listen to the complete response. That must have been frustrating. How did the team handle it? Short, immediate, and connected. Try another one. A friend says, "I'm thinking about taking a year off to travel." React and ask one question. 1, 2, 3. That sounds exciting. Where would you like to go first? Another situation. Someone says, "I don't think university is necessary for everyone." React without becoming aggressive. 1, 2, 3. That's a fair point. I think it depends on the career someone wants to pursue. Another. Your manager says, "We need the final version by tomorrow morning." React and clarify. 1, 2, 3. Understood. Just to clarify, do you need the complete report or only the executive summary? This is advanced communication. The vocabulary is not rare, but the response performs the right function at the right moment. Let's train 10 conversational functions. I will name the purpose. You produce a natural phrase immediately. Show surprise. 1, 2, 3. Really? I wasn't expecting that. Show understanding. Take 2 seconds. Respond. That makes sense. Express cautious agreement. 2 seconds. Go. I agree to some extent. Disagree politely. Your response. Now. I see it a little differently. Ask for clarification. 2 seconds. Go. What exactly do you mean by that? Ask for an example. Choose the phrase and say it. Could you give me a specific example? Show empathy. 1, 2, 3. I can imagine how difficult that was. Express uncertainty. Respond immediately. I'm not completely sure yet. Accept a suggestion. 2 seconds. Go. That sounds like a good approach. Delay a decision. Say it now. Let me think it over and get back to you. If those phrases arrived quickly, excellent. If they did not, repeat this part later. Automatic speech develops when a purpose and a phrase become linked. When you need to disagree, I see it differently, should become available as one unit. When you need clarification, what exactly do you mean, should appear without translation. Level 3. Recover without going silent. Now let's discuss one of the most important speaking skills at the C1, C2 level. Saying something when you do not know the exact word. In real conversation, even native speakers forget words. The difference is that fluent speakers do not treat a missing word as the end of the road. They describe, compare, simplify, or replace it. Suppose you want to say tripod, but the word disappears. You can say, the three-legged stand you put a camera on. Suppose you forget receipt. You can say, the paper that shows what you paid for. Suppose you forget deadline. You can say, the final time by which something has to be finished. You did not fail, you communicated. Here are 5 paraphrasing tools. It's a kind of, it's the thing you use to, it's similar to, but, it's the place where, it's a person who. Repeat them. It's a kind of, it's the thing you use to, it's similar to, but, it's the place where, it's a person who. Now I will give you a word. Imagine you have forgotten it. Describe it without using the word itself. The word is umbrella. 1, 2, 3. It's the thing you use to protect yourself from the rain. The word is umbrella. Commute. 1, 2, 3. It's the regular journey between your home and your workplace. The word is stubborn. 1, 2, 3. It describes someone who refuses to change their mind, even when other people give them good reasons. Now let's reverse the exercise. I will describe something, and you say the word if you know it. If you do not know it, repeat the description and keep moving. The ability to understand and share another person's feelings. 1, 2, 3. Empathy. A situation in which you must choose between 2 difficult options. 1, 2, 3. A dilemma. The ability to recover after difficulty or failure. 1, 2, 3. Resilience. The important lesson is this: vocabulary gaps are normal. Silence is optional. When one path is blocked, take another path. Now we are going to practice speaking before certainty. I will give you a question that may require thought. Your job is not to discover the best answer. Your job is to select one reasonable direction and begin. Should technology make our lives simpler, or does it create more complexity? Choose one direction now. Simpler, more complex. Both. Begin with one of these frames. On balance, I would say, my initial reaction is, there are arguments on both sides, but speak now. Here is one possible answer. There are arguments on both sides, but on balance, I think technology makes life simpler. It can create distraction and dependence, but it also removes many repetitive tasks. For example, services that once required a long journey or several phone calls can now be completed in a few minutes. Notice the structure: position, qualification, example. You can use that structure for advanced questions. Position. State your general view. Qualification. Recognize a limit or opposing point. Example. Make the idea concrete. Let's practice. Is competition good for people? Give your position. Add a qualification. Give an example. Begin within 3 seconds. One possible response is this: in moderation, I think competition can be helpful. It encourages people to improve, although too much pressure can damage motivation. In a supportive workplace, for instance, friendly competition may lead to better ideas without turning colleagues against one another. Next question. Should companies allow employees to work from anywhere? Position. Qualification. Example. Speak now. Next question. Is it better to specialize deeply or develop a wide range of skills? Position. Qualification. Example. Speak now. Next question. Do social media platforms connect people or isolate them? Position. Qualification. Example. Speak now. You are training decision speed. The quality of your answer still matters, but the first decision must happen quickly. If you keep every possible position open, you cannot move. Choose a direction. You can always add nuance later. Now let's work on a problem that affects many advanced speakers. They start a sentence, notice a mistake, and immediately return to the beginning. For example, they say, yesterday I go, sorry. Yesterday I went, sorry. Let me start again. Repeated restarting destroys rhythm and increases anxiety. Fluent speakers often repair a sentence without abandoning it. Listen. I've been working there since 3 years. Sorry. For 3 years. And I've learned a lot. The meeting is on Thursday, or rather, Friday morning. We need less people, fewer people. for this particular task. She suggested delaying the launch. The correction is short, and the message continues. Here are useful repair phrases. Sorry, what I meant was. Let me rephrase that. Or rather, more specifically, I should say, that came out wrong. What I mean is, repeat them after me. Sorry, what I meant was. Let me rephrase that. Or rather, more specifically, I should say, that came out wrong. What I mean is. Now practice repairing without restarting. Say this sentence with the wrong day first, then correct it. The appointment is on Monday, or rather, Tuesday afternoon. Again, the appointment is on Monday, or rather, Tuesday afternoon. Now correct an unclear idea. The plan is impossible. Let me rephrase that. The plan is possible, but not within the current budget. Again, the plan is impossible. Let me rephrase that. The plan is possible, but not within the current budget. Now make the meaning more specific. The response was negative. More specifically, people liked the idea but disliked the price. Again, the response was negative. More specifically, people liked the idea but disliked the price. Your ability to repair is more important than your ability to avoid every error. If you know you can recover, you become more willing to speak. That willingness gives you more practice, and more practice creates better control. Let's move into everyday pressure situations. I will describe what happens. Respond immediately with 1 or 2 natural sentences. You arrive at a cafe, but the table you reserved is not available. 1, 2, 3. Excuse me, I booked a table for 2 at 7. Could you check the reservation again? A colleague explains something, but you miss the final detail. 1, 2, 3. I followed most of that, but could you repeat the last part? A friend asks to borrow something valuable, and you feel uncomfortable. 1, 2, 3. I'd rather not lend that out, but I can help you find another option. Your manager gives you an unrealistic deadline. 1, 2, 3. I can complete the main analysis by tomorrow, but the full report will require another day. Which part should I prioritize? Someone interrupts you repeatedly during a discussion. 1, 2, 3. Could I finish this point first? Then I'd be happy to hear your response. You realize you have misunderstood someone. 1, 2, 3. I see. I misunderstood what you meant. Thanks for clarifying. These responses are not translations. They are tools connected to situations. The more often you practice the connection, the faster the phrase becomes available. Now we will use a rapid substitution drill. You will keep the structure and change one piece of information. This trains flexibility without forcing you to create every sentence from zero. The base sentence is, I can finish the first part today, but I'll need more time for the rest. Repeat it. I can finish the first part today, but I'll need more time for the rest. Change today to by noon. I can finish the first part by noon, but I'll need more time for the rest. Change the first part to the summary. I can finish the summary by noon, but I'll need more time for the rest. Change more time to additional information. I can finish the summary by noon, but I'll need more time for the rest. Now use your own information. Keep the frame. I can finish, but I'll need. Speak now. The next base sentence is, I see the advantage, but I'm concerned about the risk. Repeat it. I see the advantage, but I'm concerned about the risk. Change the advantage to the potential. I see the potential, but I'm concerned about the risk. Change the risk to the cost. I see the potential, but I'm concerned about the cost. Change concerned to uncertain. I see the potential, but I'm uncertain about the cost. Now create your own contrast. I see, but. Speak now. The next base sentence is, what matters most is whether the solution works in practice. Repeat it. What matters most is whether the solution works in practice. Change works in practice to can be implemented quickly. What matters most is whether the solution works and be implemented quickly. Change quickly to within the current budget. What matters most is whether the solution can be implemented within the current budget. Now complete the frame with your own priority. What matters most is whether. Speak now. Frames do not make your English robotic. They create a stable foundation. Creativity becomes easier when the basic structure does not require your full attention. Now let's train follow-up questions. A quick answer is useful, but strong conversation also requires curiosity. Follow-up questions prevent the exchange from becoming an interview in which one person asks and the other person gives isolated answers. There are 5 simple directions for follow-up questions. Ask for a reason. Why do you think that? Ask for an example. Can you give me an example? Ask about the result. What happened in the end? Ask about emotion. How did you feel about that? Ask about the next step. What are you going to do next? I will give you a statement. Choose one direction and ask a follow-up question immediately. I've decided to turn down the offer. 1, 2, 3. Why did you decide against it? I'm trying to become more disciplined. 1, 2, 3. What habit are you working on first? I learned something surprising during the course. 1, 2, 3. What surprised you most? I'm considering moving to a smaller city. 1, 2, 3. What attracts you to that idea? I want to improve my English before the end of the year. 1, 2, 3. What would improvement look like for you? That final question is especially powerful. What would success look like? And what would improvement look like? Invite the other person to define a vague idea more clearly. Repeat these advanced follow-up questions. What led you to that conclusion? What makes that difficult in practice? How has your perspective changed? What would you do differently next time? What do you think is the main obstacle? What would need to happen for you to change your mind? Now choose one and use it in a real conversation this week. Level 4. Think in connected ideas under pressure. We are ready to move from short responses to connected speech. The challenge is no longer beginning one sentence. The challenge is continuing from one idea to the next without returning to translation. To do that, you need connectors that perform clear jobs. To add a point. On top of that, another thing to consider is to explain. What I mean by that is, the reason I say that is, to contrast, that said, at the same time, to give an example, for instance. A good example would be, to reach a conclusion. So, overall, that's why I think, repeat the connectors with me. On top of that, another thing to consider is, what I mean by that is, the reason I say that is, that said, at the same time, for instance. A good example would be, so, overall, that's why I think. Now let's use them to build a longer response. The question is, has the internet improved the way people learn? Begin with a direct answer. Yes, in many ways it has. Add an explanation. The reason I say that is that information has become much more accessible. Give an example. For instance, someone can learn a practical skill from an expert on the other side of the world. Add a contrast. That said, access to information does not guarantee real understanding. Conclude. So, overall, the internet has created extraordinary opportunities, but learners still need discipline and critical thinking. Listen to the full response. Yes, in many ways it has. The reason I say that is that information has become much more accessible. For instance, someone can learn a practical skill from an expert on the other side of the world. That said, access to information does not guarantee real understanding. So, overall, the internet has created extraordinary opportunities, but learners still need discipline and critical thinking. Now shadow the response in thought groups. Yes, in many ways, it has. The reason I say that is, that information has become much more accessible. For instance, someone can learn a practical skill from an expert on the other side of the world. That said, access to information does not guarantee real understanding. So, overall, the internet has created extraordinary opportunities, but learners still need discipline and critical thinking. Now give your own answer to the same question. You may agree, disagree, or take a balanced position. Begin within 3 seconds and use at least 3 connectors. 1, 2, 3. Good. Do not compare every sentence with the model. A model is a tool, not a prison. Your task is to organize your own meaning clearly. Now we will practice storytelling. Stories are difficult for translators because each new sentence depends on the sentence before it. If you stop to translate every detail, the story loses energy. Instead, hold the sequence in your mind as a series of images and decisions. Listen to this story. Last month, I was invited to speak at a small professional event. I had prepared carefully, and I arrived early because I wanted time to check the room. Everything seemed fine until I connected my laptop. The presentation would not appear on the screen. At first, I assumed the cable was loose, but changing it made no difference. A technician tried another laptop, and that did not work either. We had less than 10 minutes before the audience arrived, so I had to make a decision. Instead of delaying the session, I wrote the 3 main ideas on a whiteboard. I asked the audience more questions, used examples from memory, and turned the presentation into a discussion. It was not the session I had planned, but it became more interactive than the original version would have been. Afterward, several people told me they appreciated the informal format. The experience reminded me that preparation matters, but flexibility matters just as much. A plan gives you direction. The ability to adapt keeps you moving when the plan fails. Now, do not translate the story. Keep only 6 mental pictures. An invitation. An early arrival. A blank screen. 10 minutes. A whiteboard. An unexpected success. Answer these questions immediately. Why did the speaker arrive early? 1, 2, 3. To check the room before the event. What technical problem occurred? 1, 2, 3. The presentation would not appear on the screen. What alternative did the speaker choose? 1, 2, 3. The speaker used a whiteboard and turned the session into a discussion. What was the main lesson? 1, 2, 3. Preparation is important, but flexibility is equally important. Now retell the story in your own words. Do not reproduce every sentence. Use the 6 pictures and connect them. Begin now. If you got stuck, use these story rescue phrases. What happened next was, at that point, the problem was, so I decided to. In the end, looking back. Now retell it one more time, but make it shorter. Give me the story in 4 sentences. Speak now. Excellent. Shortening a story forces you to choose what matters. That choice is a direct thinking skill. You are working with meaning, not individual words. Now tell a true story from your own life. Think of a time when a plan failed but you found another solution. Use this sequence. I had planned to. The problem was. So I decided to. In the end. Looking back. Begin within 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Keep speaking for at least 45 seconds. If you cannot remember a word, describe it. If you make a mistake, repair it and continue. If you lose the sequence, say, what happened next was, and return to the story. That is speaking practice, not rehearsing perfect sentences, managing a real message in real time. Now let's focus on listening for intention. Instant responses become much easier when you stop treating every sentence as a vocabulary test. When someone speaks, ask yourself, what are they doing? Are they inviting me? Are they requesting help? Are they disagreeing? Are they expressing concern? Are they asking for a decision? Are they simply sharing information? Listen to this sentence. I was wondering whether you might have time to look at the proposal before Friday. The grammar is indirect, but the intention is simple. The person is requesting help. A natural response could be, "Of course. Send it to me, and I'll take a look tomorrow afternoon." Listen to another sentence. "I'm not sure the current approach gives us enough flexibility." The person is expressing concern or polite disagreement. A natural response could be, "That's a fair concern. Which part of the approach feels too restrictive?" Another, "It would be great if we could settle this before everyone leaves." The person wants a decision soon. A natural response could be, "Agreed. Let's review the two remaining options now." Now you identify the intention and respond. I thought the first version communicated the idea more clearly. What is the intention? 1, 2, 3. A preference and indirect disagreement. Respond. I see what you mean. Which part of the first version worked better for you? You may want to double-check the figures in the final section. What is the intention? 1, 2, 3. A cautious warning or suggestion. Respond. Thanks for pointing that out. I'll review them before I send the report. Are you completely set on that date? What is the intention? 1, 2, 3. The speaker wants to know whether the date can change. Respond. Not completely. What date would work better for you? I wouldn't want us to overlook the effect on existing customers. What is the intention? 1, 2, 3. The speaker is raising a concern. Respond. That's an important point. Let's look at how the change would affect them. Listening for function keeps you in English because your response connects directly to the speaker's purpose. Now we will enter a meeting simulation. You are part of a team deciding whether to launch a new service next month. The service has performed well in a small test, but several technical issues remain. I will play the role of different team members. You respond as yourself. Team member 1 says, "The test results are encouraging, so I think we should launch as soon as possible." Respond with cautious agreement. 1, 2, 3. I agree that the results are encouraging, but I'd like to understand the remaining technical risks before we commit to a date. Team member 2 says, "If we delay again, we may lose the opportunity." Acknowledge the concern and propose an action. 1, 2, 3. That's a valid concern. Why don't we identify which issues are essential to fix before launch, and which ones can be addressed afterward? Team member 4 says, "Customers probably won't notice the technical problems." Disagree constructively. 1, 2, 3. They may not notice every issue, but even a small problem could affect trust. I think we should test the customer experience one more time. The team leader asks, "What do you recommend?" Give a clear recommendation, reason, and next step. 1, 2, 3. I recommend a limited launch rather than a full release. It would allow us to maintain momentum while reducing the risk. The next step would be to select a small group of customers and define the issues we want to monitor. Now give your own recommendation. You may support the launch, oppose it, or suggest a compromise. Speak for 30 seconds. Begin now. This kind of simulation trains more than vocabulary. You must listen, evaluate, choose a function, and respond. That is the mental speed you need in real professional English. Now let's practice difficult social moments. Advanced fluency includes the ability to protect a relationship while communicating a clear boundary. Repeat these phrases. I appreciate you asking, but I won't be able to. I understand the urgency, but I can't promise that timeline. I'd prefer to keep that private. I'm happy to help, within reason. I don't think I'm the right person for that decision. I'd rather address the issue directly. I'm not comfortable agreeing to that without more information. Let's use them. A colleague asks you to complete part of their work, but you already have too much to do. Respond. 1, 2, 3. I understand you're under pressure, but I can't take on the whole task. I could review it once you've completed the first draft. Someone asks a personal question that you do not want to answer. Respond. 1, 2, 3. I'd prefer to keep that private, but I appreciate your concern. A client requests an outcome you cannot guarantee. Respond. 1, 2, 3. I understand why that result matters, but I can't guarantee it. What I can promise is that we'll monitor the situation closely and respond quickly. A friend repeatedly cancels plans at the last moment. Respond directly but respectfully. 1, 2, 3. I understand that things come up, but the last-minute cancellations have become difficult for me. Could we only make plans when you're reasonably sure you'll be available? Clear language is not rude. In fact, unclear agreement often creates more conflict later. The goal is warmth without surrender and directness without aggression. Now we will train your mouth to keep up with your mind. Sometimes a response is mentally available, but the physical rhythm feels difficult. If the phrase does not flow, you may slow down, doubt yourself, and return to translation. English speech moves in thought groups, not isolated words. Important words receive stress, while smaller grammar words often become shorter. Listen. I would have called you, but I didn't have your number. The main beats are would, called, and number. Shadow me. I would have called you, but I didn't have your number. Again, connected. I would have called you, but I didn't have your number. Another sentence. I'm not completely sure, but I'll find out. Shadow it. I'm not completely sure, but I'll find out. Connected. I'm not completely sure, but I'll find out. Another. We could have handled it better. Repeat. We could have handled it better. Another. What I'm trying to say is, we need more time. Repeat. What I'm trying to say is, we need more time. Another. I see your point, but I'm still not convinced. Repeat. I see your point, but I'm still not convinced. Now say the 5 complete sentences at a natural pace. I would have called you, but I didn't have your number. I'm not completely sure, but I'll find out. We could have handled it better. What I'm trying to say is, we need more time. I see your point, but I'm still not convinced. Do not force every sound to be equally strong. Let the important words carry the rhythm. A sentence with clear stress is easier to produce and easier to understand. Now the support disappears. This speed round has 12 questions. Give 1 immediate sentence for each. No explanation unless it arrives naturally. Do not pause the video. Do not restart after a mistake. Your only job is to keep the response channel open. Question 1. What do you need to do today? 1, 2, 3. Question 2. What helps you concentrate? 1, 2, 3. Question 3. Are you good at making quick decisions? 1, 2, 3. Question 4. What have you changed your mind about recently? 2 seconds. Go. Question 5. What makes you lose track of time? 1, 2, 3. If you are still answering, good. Do not evaluate the last sentence. Release it and face the next question. Question 6. When do you feel most confident? 1, 2, 3. Question 7. What is one problem you need to solve? 1, 2, 3. Question 8. What is one risk you are glad you took? 2 seconds. Go. Question 9. What is difficult to explain to other people? 1, 2, 3. Question 10. When is it important to say no? 1, 2, 3. 2 questions remain. Keep your first sentence simple. Question 11. What is one thing you do better now than 5 years ago? 1, 2, 3. Question 12. Why are you learning English? 2 seconds. Go. Take a breath. If you answered all 12 questions, even with imperfect sentences, you practice the habit we want, speaking before certainty. If one answer failed, do not mentally return to repair it. In a real conversation, the next moment matters more than the previous mistake. Now we will do a shorter sentence launch round. I will give you 6 beginnings. Complete each one immediately and add 1 supporting idea. The main reason I 1, 2, 3. One thing I've realized is 1, 2, 3. I used to think, but now 1, 2, 3. What matters more than people realize is 1, 2, 3. The biggest difference between and is 1, 2, 3. If there is one lesson I've learned, it is 1, 2, 3. Good. Sentence beginnings are powerful because they activate a type of thought. Practice them until your brain automatically follows the direction they create. Now we are going to combine everything in a 1-minute response. Here is the question. Do people grow more through success or through difficulty? You will begin within 3 seconds and speak for 1 minute. Use this structure if you need it. Give your position. Explain the main reason. Give an example. Acknowledge the other side. Conclude. Your time begins now. 1, 2, 3. Keep going. If you need a connector, use the reason I say that is. Keep going. If you need an example, say, a good example would be, keep going. If you want to add nuance, say, that said. Bring your answer to a conclusion. So, overall, excellent. Here is a model response. Do not treat it as the only correct answer. Listen for the structure and movement. On balance, I think people grow more through difficulty. The reason I say that is that difficult situations reveal weaknesses we might otherwise ignore. A good example would be learning to manage failure. When everything goes well, confidence can grow, but we may not develop patience, adaptability, or self-awareness. That said, success is also important because it shows us what works and gives us the motivation to continue. So, overall, both experiences contribute to growth, but difficulty often forces a deeper kind of change. Now shadow the model in thought groups. On balance, I think people grow more through difficulty. The reason I say that is that difficult situations reveal weaknesses we might otherwise ignore. A good example would be learning to manage failure. When everything goes well, confidence can grow. But we may not develop patience, adaptability, or self-awareness. That said, success is also important because it shows us what works and gives us the motivation to continue. So, overall, both experiences contribute to growth, but difficulty often forces a deeper kind of change. Now answer a second 1-minute question without a model. Has convenience made people less resilient? Choose a direction now. Begin within 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Position. Reason. Example. Other side. Conclusion. Well done. Before the final challenge, let's identify the habits that prevent instant responses. Habit 1. Searching for the most impressive answer. Replace it with, choose one clear direction. Habit 2. Building the entire sentence before speaking. Replace it with, launch and expand. Habit 3. Stopping when a word is missing. Replace it with, describe or simplify. Habit 4. Restarting after every mistake. Replace it with, repair and continue. Habit 5. Listening to every word instead of the intention. Replace it with, identify what the speaker is doing. Habit 6. Giving isolated answers. Replace it with, react, answer, and ask a follow-up question. Habit 7. Waiting to feel confident. Replace it with, let repeated action create confidence. Repeat these commitments after me. I will choose clarity before complexity. I will begin before my answer is complete. I will describe a word when I cannot remember it. I will repair mistakes without abandoning my message. I will listen for intention. I will keep the conversation moving. I will let practice create confidence. After this lesson, protect the reflex you have built with one 10-minute session a day for 7 days. On day 1, answer 20 simple questions within 3 seconds. On day 2, complete 10 launch phrases with ideas that are true for you. On day 3, describe 10 words without naming them. On day 4, tell one short story from 5 mental pictures. On day 5, practice agreement, disagreement, clarification, and boundaries. On day 6, give 2 one-minute opinions with a position, reason, example, and conclusion. On day 7, repeat the challenge you are about to take and compare your score. Level 5, the no pause test. There are 13 possible points. You will hear 12 short tasks and 1 connected speaking task. Give yourself 1 point whenever your voice begins before the countdown ends. On the last task, earn the point by starting on time and continuing without returning to the beginning. This is not a grammar score, and it is not a measure of your English level. It measures one thing only: how available your English is under pressure today. There are 4 rounds. Do not pause. Trust the language you have built during this lesson. Round 1. Immediate reactions. Your friend says, "I finally finished the project I've been working on for months." React. 1, 2, 3. Your colleague says, "I think we may have underestimated the cost." React. 1, 2, 3. Someone says, "Working hard is always more important than working efficiently." React. 1, 2, 3. Your manager says, "We need to reconsider the timeline." React. 1, 2, 3. Round 2. Answer, reason, detail. Think of a presentation, meeting, or difficult task you completed recently. How did it go? 1, 2, 3. What is one change that would improve the way people work? 1, 2, 3. What kind of environment helps you learn best? 1, 2, 3. What is one goal that deserves more of your attention? 1, 2, 3. Round 3. Difficult communication. Politely refuse an invitation because you need time to rest. 1, 2, 3. Disagree with a decision and give 1 reason. 1, 2, 3. Ask someone to clarify an unclear expectation. 1, 2, 3. Correct something you said without restarting your message. 1, 2, 3. Round 4. Connected response. Speak for 45 seconds on this question. What would change in your life if you could respond confidently in English without preparing every sentence? Begin now. 1, 2, 3. Keep speaking. Give a specific example. Explain why it matters. Finish your idea clearly. You have completed the challenge. Count your points now. Count your points now. If you scored between 0 and 4, your knowledge may be strong, but silent translation is still controlling the starting gate. Repeat levels 1 and 2 and make your first sentence shorter. If you scored between 5 and 8, your response pathway is active but not yet stable. Repeat the speed round on another day and aim to add just 2 points. If you scored between 9 and 11, you have a strong speaking reflex. Your next step is to keep that speed when the topic becomes unfamiliar or emotionally difficult. If you scored 12 or 13, your English was highly available under controlled pressure. Now transfer that reflex into real conversations, where you cannot predict the next question. Whatever your score, do not use it to judge your intelligence or your English level. Use it as a starting number. The goal is not perfection. The goal is faster access and stronger recovery. Now compare how you feel with the first 3 seconds of this lesson. At the beginning, you may have searched for permission to speak. Now you have a process. Hear the intention. Choose a direction. Launch with a familiar phrase. Expand with a reason, detail, example, or question. If a word is missing, describe it. If a sentence goes wrong, repair it. If the idea becomes complex, separate it into clear blocks. Fluency is not a moment when every mistake disappears. It is the growing ability to communicate while the language is still being formed. Do not measure progress by asking, "Was every sentence perfect?" Ask better questions. Did I begin more quickly? Did I continue after a mistake? Did I use a simpler phrase instead of becoming silent? Did I respond to the speaker's intention? Did I communicate the idea I wanted to communicate? Those are signs of active fluency. Your English does not need to be assembled in silence and inspected before it is allowed into the world. It needs to be used, tested, adjusted, and used again. So the next time someone asks you a question, do not wait for a perfect answer to appear. Hear, choose, launch, expand, don't translate, just speak. Thank you for practicing with me today. Write your final score in the comments, followed by the launch phrase that helped you most. If this lesson helped you respond faster, subscribe to English Listenberry and return to this session whenever you want to strengthen your speaking reflexes. I'm Emma, and I'll see you in the next lesson.